This is the second part of a three-part presentation on how you can analyze two-group data from evaluation designs that actually use a control group. So in the first presentation, we talked about the importance of data structure, making sure you had things laid out per your design that were entered in a way that lend themselves nicely to analysis, and this is kind of an optimal structure in some ways. So today we want to talk about a second step, and that is sort of describing your data in some small ways, and maybe developing a graph of your findings. Sometimes graphic displays of data can be quite helpful, and Excel has a great graphing capacity, so actually teaching you how to do graphs in Excel makes lots of sense. So what we want to do today is to take a look at how we can go from data to a graph, and sort of see what kind of goes into that. Basically, there are some intermediate steps that are important for us to do that basically, and this is going to be very simple. Admittedly very simple. It's not. There are lots more that you could do, but if we can get our students to even get this far, we're actually very happy. So one of the challenges in doing graphs often is graphs, especially bar graphs like this or bar charts like this, require summary data. So the tops of each of these bars actually represent group means. So you can see that the mean pre-correct for our program group was slightly less than our mean pre-correct for our control group, which is interesting, and then that relationship sort of switches here at the post-test. And this is these data are consistent with our hypothesis that our program students end up on the average higher than our control students, and this actually the difference between the height of these bars is really the effect size that we're interested in. So but in order to get a graph like this, what you have to do is to actually compute those means. It turns out that it's not a really difficult thing to do. You just have to sort of understand how Excel works internally and how it uses functions actually to help us in our work. Now, hopefully you saw and remember some of the presentation. It was a YouTube presentation, I believe, on intermediate Excel that talked about Excel functions, and we're going to take a look, quick look at just one or maybe two. We'll look at maybe standard deviations too. So anyway, we want to go from our data to our graph, and in order to do that, we have to go from our raw data, which is individual scores, to the intermediate step of actually computing a mean of each of those cells, each of these cells essentially. We'll see how that works, and then developing the graph. Now, it turns out the graph is very easy if you structure your labels in this way and put the data values in these cells. It turns out that it will draw a graph very straightforwardly with very little effort on your part to make any modifications or changes to it. So let's take a look at how we compute means. So if I click on that cell, you can see that what pops up in the formula bar is actually the internal function that Excel used to compute this value. This is a mean or an average. Means are averages, and this is so these are all computed through this function called the average. And if you'll recall, in the formula bar, if you're going to use a function, it has to be preceded by an equal sign. And if you get good at this, you'll realize that you don't have to use the dialogue to do this. You can actually type in this, literally type in this string, and it will give you an average. You don't have to go through the formula builder, but we're going to do that anyway. So how can we get these means? And we'll just do a couple. So I hope you remember, but you always have a target cell when you're doing formula building, I guess we could say. So pick an empty cell, any cell, and you could do this. You could work along, and then click on this little insert function icon. Click on that, and your formula builder pops up. So this gives you all of the formulae that are available in Excel, and there are tons, and there are all sorts. So what you're going to end up is using a handful of these. You can see some of these that I've used. Average, which is the mean, a standard deviation. This is a square root. This is a median, sum, count. If you get beyond those, you're probably, doing more Excel than most of our students do. So we know that we're interested in the average, so let's click on average, and we'll go down and click on the insert function. So when you click on that, this will take you to a dialog that you need to populate. And how to do that best is to click on this little icon. This is sort of the self-selection icon. So if you click on that and then go to your, I believe we're here on program, yes. So if we go over here and click on, click and drag on the program pre% correct values, and then click on done. It will give you the value that we got here, so you can see how easy it is. And then actually if we go here and insert function, we don't actually have to close out of that. Click on the bar, and then we can do the same thing here. There we go, and then click done, and you can see that we got the same value. Thank goodness. So what we can also do is if you select these and right click or control click, right click, either in, if you're using a two button mouse, you can right click, or if you're just using, I'm using Microsoft or an Apple mouse, so I have to hold down the control key. But if you click on that, you'll get a dialog that takes you into a format cells. A dialog that takes you to format cells. Click on format cells and then click on number, and it usually defaults to 2 places. You can make it more or less, and then click OK. And that's actually very helpful to know. I usually do decimal points to 2 positions. Anything beyond that is a little bit distracting. So our pre-mean is 47.13 for our program group, and is 80.81. Is a score value of 81. Sorry about that. On the nose, no decimal values. So, and you can see that we replicated that. So the little I haven't quite figured this out. Oh, it has some adjacent numbers, so we didn't use all of the, I guess I just figured it out, so we didn't use all of the score values, so it gives you a little warning about that. You can click on that and just ignore it. It's not a big deal. So there's nothing fatal about it. So very straightforward. I did the same thing here with, I used the standard deviation. We collected that for a particular reason that I'll show you. So let me just show you how to do this real quickly. So click on a cell, click on standard deviation, insert function over here, and click on the cell selector, and go click on the range that you want and click on done. And you can see that you get get the value that we got up here. So it's really pretty simple, and then you can actually just go up to the formula bar and get rid of that. So we won't graph these, but we're going to use them for another reason in our next video. So once we've done the means, we have 4 for each of these 4 boxes in our design. If you and we're really pretty good at this now. So if you click and drag on these and go into Insert and go into Recommended Charts, and these are actually called column charts. They're bar charts, but they call them in Excel column charts. Yeah, for some reason it calls the horizontal bar chart a bar chart. So, but this is what we're after. Click on that. We're interested in a clustered column chart. And so there it is. You can see that it's got the titles, and then we can do the move chart thing and put it in a new chart. And I guess I've decided it's good to type in some name here. And then click OK. Click OK. And there we go. There we go. Up, we got the chart. We got the legend at the bottom. We've done this before, and we can change the chart title. If you wanted to put the legend over on the side, you can go here and click here to the quick layout and put in titles and any annotations that you are interested in doing. So there are lots of other, maybe not so many other summaries. Basically, we really do have. We have the key descriptive information for this. If we were doing some other kind of data, we might want to do other sorts of things. But at this point, that's kind of an intermediate step at looking at two-group data, collecting means, and then developing a graph, if that makes sense, to see if you can visually display a difference. And actually, we have. So in the next movie we're going to take a look at, so how do we quantify this difference between the two groups on the post test? And we'll do that next.